Hey, so chapter 1000 just came out today, so I'm giving my raw reaction. Okay, that's a lie. It's not my raw reaction because even though it officially came out today, it came out last week, fan translations, but I don't want to release a video before it officially releases. But yeah, this is going to be really quick because I'm actually working on another video that is kind of a relevant theory, but this chapter I would give a 4.5. It's almost a 5. In some parts of me think 4, some parts of me think 5, so I have to land on 4.5. I think what would have made it a 5 is if some special character reveal would have came, like a Rayleigh or a Shanks or anything like that, but even without that, it's still a fantastic chapter. I love that it just starts off with a mix of optimism and also dread, because Luffy's here, he arrived, he's the hero. But you can see the Minks are devastated. He kind of puts salt on the wound without realizing by making the Rizzo comment. He's like, thanks for, you guys are awesome. You saved Rizzo. And it's like, he doesn't even know Rizzo's basically almost dead behind them. But yeah, we get an Ace flashback. I'm not that big a fan of Ace, but it was a good flashback. We get to see more between Yamato and Ace, great establishing the relationship. We get to see how much he believes in Luffy, which that's one of Ace's most redeeming quality, if not his most redeeming quality, in my opinion, is just how much he believes in Luffy. That kind of gets sullied a little bit, given how much he wanted Whitebeard to be king of the pirates. But even then, like, on his dying breath, like, he kind of comes to terms with, like, no, Luffy, you're going to be king of the pirates. So I do like that about Ace. He's a great character. Then we see the worst generation all come together. I think that's amazing. Most people have seen that coming. But certain things have been transpiring in the manga that made it seem like maybe it won't be the worst generation. But no, you see, they're all together and Zoro's there. And as a Zoro fan, I don't want to get too toxic, but I must say, Sanji isn't there, but Zoro is. So that kind of makes you realize, the power imbalance, or, it's more in Zoro's favor. But let's not get too deep into that. So what I like is Luffy just goes right past the Yonko, like not even giving them their due respect in that manner. But thing is, Luffy doesn't have to respect the Yonko in that way just because they're high-ranking pirates. I mean, that's enemies. It's not like Kobe disrespecting Akainu or something like that. Like, they're enemies, so he doesn't have to give them that much respect. Not only that, if he wants to feel like he's on equal footing, he could just treat them like, oh, I'm your equal. And he just walks past them, doesn't care. Then he sees Kinemon on the floor. A very heartfelt conversation between them. What stuck out to me is the way Luffy almost like ordered Law. Like Law was Luffy's subordinate. He was just like, Law, get them out of here. And Law did it. And I just thought that's kind of interesting. When I first saw it, I was kind of like thinking, Luffy's just bossing, Law's his son in that regard. But no, when I really think about it, it's almost like Law paying it forward, or paying back what was done for him, because this actually very mirrors what Law went through. He was once in Kinemon's position with Doflamingo, where Luffy comes and he's like, okay, you couldn't get your revenge, but you know what, I'm here, I'm gonna help you with that. So I think Law that resonated with him. He's like, I see, this is deja vu, I see this, I was in Kinemon's position, so without any questions asked, he did it. Also, they are the Pirate Mink Ninja Alliance, so they are an alliance, and yeah, even though Luffy told him to do that, Law was most likely going to just move, Kinemon out the way anyway. But I just thought, I feel like it's very poetic. I think Oda's aware of that, of Law helping out Kinemon when they're in the same position. Then we get the best part of the chapter, in my opinion, Luffy using Red Rock. Now, why is it the best part for me personally? Well, because I have my theories. I made a video first on, is Red Hawk Fire Haki? And then I made a great detailed video essay, if I must say, about understanding Haki. And in it, I say Haki is related to chakra, and chakras have elements. And the third chakra, which also has to be the third form of armament Haki, is fire. Now, why is this so relevant? Well, I mean, we've seen Luffy use fire before in Red Hawk. This isn't something new. But why I think this is relevant and is more credibility to my theory is because Luffy's training arc in Wano has been primarily based on Haki. He's been learning how to use Ryo. He's been learning how to use advanced armament. So for him to show his new technique, because if you realize, he never shown a new technique since his training arc. Yeah, he went Gear 4th and he showed, like, you know, he's better at using Gear 4th. That's not a new technique. That's just him being better. This is finally seeing a new technique. And what is that new technique? Fire-based. So you kind of put 2 and 2 together. Not saying it's confirmed, but it's definitely more credible that, you know, is this just a coincidence, or did him learning better Haki give him greater mastery over fire abilities? Why? Because armament Haki at the highest level is fire. Now, there's so many stipulations about that. Like, for example, when I say level, I don't necessarily mean that fire is better than basic armament. It's more like the levels of a stair, or levels of a ladder, or levels of a building. It's not that the first floor is better than the second floor. They're just floors, but they're different stages of things. Anyway, I explain all of this way better in my video, Understanding Haki Part 2. And really, if you haven't watched the Understanding Haki series, I mean, there's so much that's been happening in the manga that I go, oh, there's more evidence towards my theory, and I love it. Like, for example, Kaido, a few chapters back, was roaring. He roared and lightning came out. That's related to my theory, because I say that Conqueror's Haki is related to the throat chakra. The element of throat chakra is sound and ether and lightning, and all of those are connected to what Kaido just did, because a roar comes from the throat, it is a sound, and it causes lightning. And I'm like, oh, there you go. More evidence to my theory. Not exactly confirmation, but it's like, is it just coincidences? I don't know. But anyway, I hope you are staying tuned, because I have a new video coming out very soon. It is what I talked about in the last video with Dragon Form Luffy. Well, with this new chapter, more evidence toward my theory, because what I said about Dragon Form Luffy is that it's going to be a fire-based form. What does Luffy already have around his body? He produces this steam around his body that very much looks like clouds. So he already has the cloud part down. So really what he needs is to have that cloud turn into fire. Now, after thinking about the theory more, I've concluded that it could be called Dragon Form. It could be called, it would be called Dragon Man, really, because that's the theme of Gear 4. It could be called Monkey Man, or it could be called Lion Man. And all of those make sense in one way or the other. So please stay tuned and check out my Lion Man, Dragon Man, Monkey Man theory, which I talk about what it could be like if Luffy, not only just his mastery over fire armament Haki, but also even possibly developing flame clouds, you know, like the ones Kaido and Momonosuke use. So just stay tuned, and I promise it'll make sense. I'm not saying it's a 1000% confirmed theory, but whenever I release a theory, it has to make some kind of sense for me to think that it's good enough to share, and I promise it will make some sense. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more in the future, then subscribe. Want to be my first every video? Then hit that bell icon. Maybe subscribing is too much of a commitment, but you still want to see me around? Well, then it's a good thing you can like the video. It lets YouTube know you want to see videos like these suggested to you. The secret ending for this video is just going to be a clip from one of my earlier videos called Understanding Haki Part 2. If you've never watched that video, you can see this as a little introductory, and hopefully you'll watch that video. The link will be in the description. However, the clip I'm about to show is more appropriate for people who have already watched that video, because it'll give you a little refresher that'll prepare you for my next video, which is going to be a theory about Luffy's new fire-based form. Unlike Sanji's attack, we haven't the slightest explanation for why Red Hawk catches on fire. Some people say it's like Sanji's initial Diablo Jambla. It's due to Luffy generating enough speed and friction. I'm not buying it, and here's my 3 reasons. How can it be speed when Luffy's fist catches on fire before the attack picks up a lot of speed? He stretches his fist out, it catches on fire, and then he puts his all into his punch, as opposed to his fist catching fire as he punches at top velocity. Now I understand one might argue that it's a manga, and because it's still image, it just wasn't portrayed well enough. I might give you leeway if it wasn't for my next point. The first time we see him use it is underwater. I'm not going to pretend to be a physicist, it's been many years since I've taken physics class, but I at least know friction occurs between two objects. When Sanji first used DJ, it was because his foot and the floor were rubbing against each other. Makes sense. Even water and air causes friction. However, in order for Luffy to cause the water to ignite, water would have to be combustible. Not only that, anybody that drives a car would know that rubber and water don't go well together. None of it adds up to me. If you have a reason to show that it makes sense from a physics standpoint, then I'd love to hear it. And please do your research and show your sources. My final point to suggest that it isn't speed is because that it's inconsistent. He has other attacks that are faster yet don't catch on fire, like Jet Gatlin he used against Lucci. Some say it's because he needs Haki to harden himself in order to generate enough friction. Again, I'm not a physicist, so I'm not sure if that's how it works scientifically. From what I remember, it's due to the roughness and smoothness of an object. If you take Luffy's smooth rubber arm and make it harder, that still doesn't change the fact that it's smooth. Regardless, I can still call BS, because first of all, we've seen him use Jet Gatlin and Armament at the same time. Even worse, Gear 4 Snake Man is his fastest form, yet none of his attacks catch on fire. And by the logic that fire is due to speed, all of Snake Man attacks should be on fire. I rest my case. My speculation is that it's the result of 3rd level of Armament Haki. Now you might be wondering, if Luffy didn't even know how to use the 2nd form of Armament Haki, how would he have known to have used the 3rd level back then? To that I say, Luffy is not only using the 3rd level of Armament Haki with Red Hawk, but the 2nd as well. Basically, he is using all 3 in one attack. And of course, I'll explain myself. So, he coats his arm in Haki, which is the root chakra, aka Earth. Next, he sets his arm ablaze with the solar plexus, aka Fire. It's when the attack hits that you can really see the sacral chakra, aka Water, take effect. When Luffy freed Hyogoro from his collar, the old man tells Luffy that he already knows the 2nd level, which is what I'm saying. But more importantly, he mentions another thing that I said earlier. The 2nd level of Haki attacks the inside and then out. Now when Luffy lands Red Hawk on somebody, it isn't simply just a flaming fist hitting a body. You can see the fire blast flying out the other side of whoever it hits. When he punched Hold'em's cheek, you can see fire flying out of his mouth. He hits the front and the blast comes out the back, just like what he did to that tree. Now any reasonable person would wonder, what is it that allows Luffy to unconsciously raise his vibrations to a level past which he knows how to do consciously? I believe it is similar to how Sanji uses DJ post time skip. The death of Ace was extremely traumatic for Luffy. His memory of his dear late brother triggers something within him that creates a spark in his spirit. Now what I believe is occurring to actually create the flames of Red Hawk and Diablo Jamba is that Luffy and Sanji's Haki is vibrating at a frequency that will result in their aura turning into flames. Because ultimately, that's what really matters most when Sanji activates Diablo Jamba. Sure, maybe the first time he used the attack, it required he spin at a speed which it could catch on fire. But what really matters most is the effect, not the cause. What Sanji needs is to generate enough kinetic energy in his leg that it will cause whatever vibrating subatomic particles, atoms, or molecules that are in and around his leg to vibrate at a frequency to catch on fire. Besides the fact that solar plexus is associated with fire, it also makes sense that the highest chakra level that focuses on the physical body would be the one that causes flames. The higher the chakra, the higher the frequency. The higher the frequency, the faster the Haki will vibrate. Heat is synonymous with how fast atoms vibrate. As I already pointed out, Luffy, Sanji, and Zoro and Big Mom have all displayed fire abilities. And there are more. Kinemon, Katakuri, Hold'em, Hyogoro, King, and Kaido have all displayed some kind of fire aura or technique. If there are more you can think of, definitely let me know. One last thing to address in this video. Although there are levels of chakra, that doesn't make one chakra better than the other. First step you take up the stairs isn't more important or better than the last. It's not as if Luffy will learn Advanced Armament Haki and abandon hardening. All the steps towards enlightenment are essential and equal. That just about covers this topic. Tune in for the next video in which I go over observation and conquerors. Tell me in the comments what remaining chakras you think will be associated with which Haki. The fourth and final part is where I'll go into double